Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're out here at the Onan CCKM. Uh, Finally got the sump separated from the engine block here, and it was locked up something fierce. Thought it might be camshaft. All kinds of stuff ran through my head. But after getting this thing apart, I found out what happened to it. But how to get this thing apart was the hard part. Basically, this thing was locked up. I couldn't get to any of the rod bolts. It was just a real shit show. And finally, I resorted to kind of banging on a casting part on the back of the flywheel, tapped it around little by little, and finally I was able to expose one of the bolts on both number one and number two here, and released a little bit of the pressure. I was able to smack it around a little bit farther, and was able to get to the other bolts. As soon as I loosened it up, I found out that we had the equivalent of a spun bearing. What's going on here is Onan uses an aluminum rod here that's finely polished for use as a bearing surface. And as long as you got oil pressure there isn't a problem. Well, this engine didn't have very much oil in it when I got to it, and the oil that was in it was more like molasses than it was oil. These engines have a real oil pump in it, very much like a Chevy or a Ford big engine, and it is gear driven, so there is very unlikely for an oil pump to fail. Usually what happens to them, if anything's going to happen, is the pickup drops off of it or whatever, and you lose oil pressure that way. Well, this one, that was not the case. This one was just run low on oil. I'll bet dollars to donuts on that. But I don't know if you can see it very well, but there is a, God, it's got to be 2 or 3 millimeters deep going into the surface of this rod cap, and same. Not as bad on the other part of the rod, but the rod cap portion of it definitely had welded to the crankshaft. And if you don't think that aluminum can be welded to steel, yeah, well, I just saw the proof it can. And there is still a very good sized chunk of aluminum that's basically, like I said, welded to the crankshaft there. So this crankshaft is probably going to be a no-go unless the guy wants to surface this crankshaft. But I got a donor motor that may come into play here, and I'll be stealing parts off of that. But as it sits right now, the motor rotates over no problem. Secondary problem that I had to this was the last guy that had worked on this had tried to take the flywheel off of it, but snapped the bolt off in it, and it snapped off flush inside of this cavity here, and basically the center of the flywheel has a key, and this is keyed to it. Well, the set screw was basically broke off inside of there, so I'm going to be in the process of drilling it out and all that good stuff. But for this part of the video, basically wanted to show you this portion down is the bell housing and flywheel for a transmission that is hooked up to this motor. Above this line is all of this boxer style Onan twin cylinder motor. But until video 3, this is where we're at. Thanks for watching.